welcome back to another video. As you guys can tell by the title, this is a little cooking video. Today I decided that I wanted to make a soup. I know it's still pretty warm out, so it's not exactly fall, but I've been in a soup mood, and so I decided that this would be something yummy and easy to follow along, and you guys I think will like it a lot. I'm trying to figure out what I want to call it exactly, but it is a end of summer soup. It has, I think I'm gonna add homemade beef sausage into that, into the soup, which you guys can make it with or without, but I like the extra kick of protein. So I think I'm gonna do a little bit of beef sausage in this, which is really cool because I've actually come up with a good recipe to make my own, because sometimes you never know what they add into sausage mix, you know? So that can be a little bit not that great just with like the excessive ingredients. So I decided that I'm gonna make my own, which I've made for a few years now, especially during Thanksgiving, which is incredible. Gosh, I can't wait to share so many recipes with you guys. But in the meantime, we're gonna make this soup. It has a nice variety of vegetables, which I think are good. I'm not a huge vegetable girl, so these are some of the ones that I think are the most appetizing and suitable for the soup. When you guys make this, I'd love to see the result. If you want to tag me on Instagram, my username is right here, and then you guys can go ahead and follow me there also. I post on my stories daily. And don't forget to like and subscribe to my video, and let's get going. I'm just cutting up the zucchini, and I just wanted to mention also, when I cut them into these little strips, I don't want to make them too small because then they'll cook too fast in the soup. So I make them just kind of like a medium size, kind of like a little strip, just so that I can cut them into cubes. Cutting them into cubes or whatever shape you prefer. You could do like a half moon, where you would just cut the zucchini in half lengthwise and then just cut them into the little moon shape, or you could leave them like a little square, however you prefer, but I like the little cube because everything will be more uniform and kind of fits on the spoon a little bit better. It's just kind of like the style of the soup that I was going for. Of course, you guys can cut them however you want. So I have one here. I'm gonna see how much this makes, or how much zucchini this cuts up, because it was kind of a large one. So I'm going to go ahead and make these into cubes and then go from there, because I don't want there to be too much. I just want it to be a nice balance. So I'm gonna cut these little strips into cubes now. I also did already grate the carrots, and I'm just gonna pile the zucchini on top, even though we're gonna be cooking the zucchini before the carrots. I just wanna get them browned a little bit, but that's later on. But you guys can put them in a separate bowl if you prefer to make it easier on yourself, but I'm just gonna kind of put them to the side in the same bowl. Doesn't have to be perfect too, it's just so that they're all kind of cooking around the same time. You're not waiting for like bigger chunks to cook longer than others, and just makes it look pretty too. There's so many fun recipes to make as the seasons start to change. I love summer so much, but fall definitely has like all the good things to cook, like the warm soups and the kind of spices that make it, you know, the cozy, cuddly, yummy meals to make. Obviously in California, our weather is very mild, so it'll just get a little more chilly, but for the next few months is actually some of our best weather, so I'm looking forward to that. But anyways, now that I've cut this up, I'm gonna scooch the carrots to the side and then just add them into my bowl. Here. I think I got them all. Now I have them in the bowl here, and I'm just gonna set that to the side. I'm gonna go ahead and head over to the stove and get cooking. Let me think, is there anything else I need to cut up? Oh, you know what? First thing I'm gonna do is gonna go ahead and get another bowl with the ground beef and some of my spices, and we're gonna go ahead and mix that together so we can make the homemade sausage. Ground sage, black pepper, salt, oregano, paprika, cayenne, chili flakes, parsley, and 1 pound of ground beef. Okay, sage, chili powder, paprika, oregano, chili flakes, parsley. I will grab the salt and pepper and the pound of beef. I like using this ground beef because it's grass-fed and organic. So this is the one that I choose. I do the 93.7. So I have my ground beef, and I'm gonna go ahead and open sesame. Also, don't come for me, I'm using a big vegetable cleaver to open the package. Alright, we're gonna pop that into this bowl. So. And then we're gonna start adding the spices, which reminds me, I do need to get my measuring spoons. It's my first time using 2 cameras for my footage, so I really wanted to start getting some more detailed content and like higher quality. So I'm gonna start doing that a little bit more often, which I think is kind of cool. I'm gonna go ahead and take sage, and I'm gonna do 1.5 teaspoons, but I do heaping of sage because I think it's kind of the best part, and like, I love sage. Next up, we're gonna do salt, and it's 1 teaspoon. I like using Celtic salt, which is this, because I don't know, I just think it has a lot of a better flavor, and I know it's kind of popular right now, but I liked it for a while, and I'm happy a lot of people are hopping on the Celtic salt train because of the nutrients that it provides, but I just like the flavor of it. Sometimes I keep different salts on a rotation just because for some reason I think my body just has like a way of telling me like it's time to rotate to a new salt. So I just go either like pink Himalayan, or I do just like a regular sea salt from France, or I rotate with this one. It's kind of weird how the body works, right? Okay, so now I'm gonna do a ½ teaspoon of black pepper, and that goes right into paprika, ½ teaspoon. I like paprika in this recipe because it also adds a good color and it gives the effect of sausage, which is pretty cool. You guys would be surprised how easy it actually is to make sausage recipe, because it's really just the seasonings that make it what it is rather than like something like that's actually made. I know that sausage is kind of like a variety of things that we probably wouldn't choose to eat like if we actually knew what it was. So that's why I choose this, and then I can just add what I want in it. Okay, up next is ½ teaspoon of oregano, and again, these are all kind of heaping measurements because there's no rules. Okay, this one's a ¼ teaspoon because I don't like it too spicy, but obviously you guys can do whatever you prefer. Sorry, not a ¼ teaspoon, an 1/8 of a teaspoon, which is half of the old ¼ teaspoon, just in case, because not a lot of measuring scoops have those measurements. But again, I don't like it too spicy. If you like it fiery hot, then go ahead and add as much as you'd like. I know it doesn't look like a lot when you add it, but it actually does kind of bloom, because that's what dried spices are supposed to do. When you add them at the beginning of your recipe rather than at the end. As opposed to when you use fresh herbs, you would add them at the end of your recipe so that they kind of keep their flavor and the quality of them. But with dried herbs, you want to add them at the beginning so they have time to rehydrate and to bloom, so you get the full flavor by the end of the recipe, by the time you're ready to eat it. That's why also a lot of recipes, when you make something and you think it tastes much better the second day, that's because all the flavors have time to kind of marinate and settle in, and then you're like, oh my gosh, I actually like it the second day, maybe more than the first day. So that's a little fun fact. So 1/8 of a teaspoon chili flakes going in, and then we're gonna go ahead with parsley, and this one is also dried. All of the ingredients in this recipe are dried. And this one is a ½ teaspoon of parsley, but this is also gonna be a heaping. Mix these together. Here's all the ingredients. So beautiful. And just go ahead and sprinkle it in. I'm gonna go ahead and put some nylon gloves on because I've got a lot of rings going on and I don't really want to take them off. So I'm just gonna wear gloves and mix this. Obviously, if you guys want to mix it with a spoon, that's totally fine, but I feel like the spices get incorporated a little bit more when you use your hands. And normally I would use my bare hands and then obviously just mix it up, but I don't want to take my rings off. So we're just gonna mix it together like this. And you don't want to mix it too much just because it can get a little bit tough, but you just want to make sure that all of the spices get incorporated fully and evenly. And then this is going to be ground sausage, so we don't have to make it into any shapes, but it also is really yummy if you guys decide to make this, that you can go ahead and shape them into little patties and you can have them as like a breakfast sausage. and they cook up just kind of like a hamburger patty, but instead it has the sausage seasoning. So that's that. I think now that these are all mixed up, all the ingredients are mixed up for this, we can head over to the stove. So I just cooked the ground sausage mixture, and now I just put it onto a plate so it can cool, or just kind of wait until I need it. And then I'm gonna go ahead and start the zucchini and the carrots in my same skillet that I used to cook the ground beef, and I'm just gonna use that so that it also incorporates some of the flavor that I had previously. And now I'm gonna add that into the skillet so that it gets a little bit browned, and that way they're not completely just boiled in the soup. They have a little bit of color and some extra flavor to them. And then also in an additional pan, which I'll show you guys, it's gonna be like a 5-quart, I believe, 5-quart Dutch oven. And then we're gonna go ahead and add some bone broth to that and get that boiling, because we do have to cut up some potatoes and add those while the other veggies are cooking. 2 Yukon Gold potatoes, we're gonna go ahead and cut those and then add them to the boiling bone broth with a little bit of salt and pepper just for some light flavor. And then we're gonna boil those for about 15 minutes so that they get a little bit tender while the other veggies are cooking, and then everything will come together in the perfect time. Okay, we're also gonna take 2, I think these are called Yukon Gold potatoes, but any potato will work. I just like these because they're a little bit more flavorful and mellow for a soup. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut off the little I can't remember what they're called actually, but they're like these little like roots on them. I'm just gonna cut those off, and I'm gonna use 2. That way I don't have too much potato, and I think that will be a nice amount for the soup. But I'm gonna go ahead and cut them up, and basically I'm just gonna do cubes for these as well, and not too big, so that these have time to cook also. If you guys are enjoying this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up so that I can continue making more and I get positive feedback from you guys. And also, this is another good potato to use if you want to make fries or roasted potatoes in the oven. I like these a lot. We use the air fryer a lot, and my sister makes, that fell on the ground. My sister makes really good fries in the air fryer. She's pretty good with that thing. And then just little cubes. I'm gonna grab a plate so I can put the cut up ones on there, and I have more room on my cutting board. Okay, these are gonna go on here. These are the cut up cubes. And then on to the next batch. Okay, here are my potatoes that I've cut up. Now we're gonna head back to the stove, and I'm gonna start using my Dutch oven, and we're gonna put some bone broth. I like to use beef bone broth, and we're gonna go ahead and put that into the pan and start bringing it to a boil. And then we're gonna add the potatoes in with a little bit of salt and pepper, just to kind of get the flavors going for the potato. And we're gonna cook those in the bone broth for about 15 minutes on low once the bone broth comes to a boil. This is the bone broth that I prefer to use because the ingredients are very minimal. It's just water, beef bones, and then organic carrots. So I think I'm gonna use 2 of these because they are 24 ounces and I have a bigger pot. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and use 2 of these for this recipe. So the potatoes in the bone broth have been simmering for about 15 minutes and they're just slightly tender. And now I'm gonna go ahead and add the carrots and the zucchini. And then I also chopped up some organic spinach while we were waiting. And that's just gonna go in last to kind of melt into the soup as the final touch. But then we're also gonna add the ground beef to the soup, which none of the ingredients at this point really need to cook except for the potato, just to get a little bit softer. But the rest of it has basically cooked already, and so now it's just kind of melding everything together. So we're gonna go ahead and combine everything into the pot and let it simmer for a little bit so the flavors can kind of get going, and then we're ready for the taste test. All right, so my soup has been simmering on the stove for about an hour. I left it on very low so that the flavors could incorporate because I don't want the vegetables or the meat to cook too much. So I just kept it with the lid on, just nice and low, basically just kind of warming it through. And now we're ready to put some into a bowl. Spoon. Protein packed, fresh vegetable soup. I hope you guys make this recipe. It's not too difficult and it's very delicious. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel because I post videos every week. And when you guys make this recipe, you can tag me on Instagram or comment something below. If you guys decided to make it, you can let me know there too. I love reading your comments, and don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you guys next week.